Hello friends, welcome to the Tech Pro team. So in the previous session we talked a little about IP addressing. So in this particular session let us try to understand MAC addressing. Okay, so the name of the topic that we will be discussing is MAC address. Okay, so friends, MAC address, you can call it as an identity of a computer. Okay, generally the computers which are manufactured today have the network interface card burnt into the motherboard itself. Okay, so there is a chip which is used to act as a network interface card, which is inbuilt into the laptop hardware, that is the motherboard or the main board of the laptop, and that's how it becomes the identity of a laptop computer. So why do we call this address as an identity of a computer? Okay, consider you come across an attack where a website is compromised. Okay, and while investigating this particular hack or the compromised website, you came to know that the attack happened from a particular network, right? Consider an internet cafe. Somebody compromised a website, right? And somehow after investigating, the cyber cell comes to know that the attempt was done through an internet cafe, looking at the range of the IP address or the IP address of the source computer, and they finally reach out to the internet cafe and they find that there are 6 computers connected into that particular internet cafe, right? So now how do we identify that from which computer the attack was done, right? So generally all the secure websites capture the MAC address of all the computers which are accessing that particular website. So friends, MAC address, okay, so tomorrow somebody may change the IP address of the computer, or the IP address may get changed due to the DHCP server on their network, but MAC address is going to remain the same. Okay, now hackers have become more smart. So what generally they do is, once an hacking attempt is done, they usually take out the LAN card from the system and throw away, or they just burn it out. Okay, so generally hackers or attackers in the world today usually do such activities by buying some laptop from the gray market without buying it's a used or refurbished computer which is used, and subsequently there is no invoice associated to that. So an attempt is made and then subsequently they throw away the laptop as a whole, or they may simply remove the NIC card from the desktop or the system from using which they have done the attack, and they can simply scrap it off. So friends, that's where understanding of MAC addresses is very important. One thing I would like to make a note here is that whenever you sell a hardware, like your used phone or you are selling some used electronic gadget, so make sure that you have the some evidences that you have sold that product. Okay, if you sell it out to a company or to an individual or to anybody on the market who's doing computer sales and services, so you just make sure that you get the some document against the laptop sale that you do. So that's where it is very important, because we are not sure that what is going to happen to that particular system right after you sell it. So most of the times what happens is, because of such attempts or incidents, the owner of the system is highly troubled. So make sure when you sell something like this, a laptop or a mobile phone, you try to keep an evidence with you. So friends, now coming back to the MAC address. So MAC address is also known as physical address. Okay. So why we call it as a physical address? Because end user, okay, or the user of the system cannot modify the MAC address. Okay, so MAC address cannot be modified by an individual. Okay, so friends, if you open up your computer and give a command ipconfig/all, okay, what you need to do is you just have to press the Windows button. Once you press the window button, search for cmd, and then subsequently, once you get the black screen, the command prompt, you can run this particular command ipconfig/all, and subsequently it will give you a detailed information about the available network interface cards on your computer. If it is a server, there will be multiple entries, and if it is a laptop, you will still see at least 2 entries, one for local area network adapter and second one is for your Wi-Fi adapter. Okay, so friends, one thing you need to know, that if it is a laptop will have 2 MAC addresses. One is for the local area network connection, the NIC card, through which you can connect the RJ45 connector of the LAN cable, and second one is the Wi-Fi network adapter, okay, which is also used to connect to internet using some wireless access point. So friends, MAC address is burnt into that particular NIC adapter. Okay, so it could be an onboard NIC adapter or it is a separate network interface card. Okay, so if it is a laptop, so this is generally on board. Okay, this is already manufactured into or installed into your motherboard, okay, or the main board, because laptop has a single mainboard plane on which multiple connectors needs to be installed, and just because of the thin thickness of that particular laptop, it's very thick if you look at it, so having a separate NIC card installed is a bit tough. But generally most of the older laptops have a separate chip embedded into that motherboard, or there is a small card which is installed in one of the expansion slots on that motherboard. So friends, if it is a desktop computer, as I said, there is a PCI slot on the motherboard, and that PCI slot is nothing but peripheral component interface. So this PCI slot is nothing but an expansion slot on the motherboard, like an AGB slot that is used for a graphics card. Same way, there is a PCI slot on the motherboard, peripheral component interface slot, which is also known as expansion slot, and that slot is used to connect an external LAN card into that particular system. So if you have 2 PCI slots, you can connect 2 LAN cards. Okay, so each LAN card, as I said, each LAN card will have a separate MAC address that you need to remember. Okay, and if you have Wi-Fi enabled, Okay, consider a laptop. So laptop generally has two interfaces. One is your NIC interface through which you can connect the RJ45 jack, and the second one is your Wi-Fi network adapter, which again connects your computer to the network using wireless access point. So that's how a laptop has two MAC addresses. Okay. Another important thing, friend, you need to know, if it is a server generally has two NIC cards by default, and it has two separate MAC addresses or physical addresses assigned to it. Okay, so that's about MAC addresses. Important thing you need to know, consider you have a switch on your network, and there are multiple computers connecting to that particular switch. So friends, if there are 10 different computers connecting to the switch on your network, so this switch will have one MAC address. Okay, so switch has a MAC address. So I'm just talking about unmanaged switch. If it is a router, consider you have a router, and that router is connecting to 3 different networks. So each interface of that particular router will have a separate MAC address. Okay, consider you have a mobile phone. So your mobile phone will have one MAC address. Okay, so that is where I said, when you sell your product, you need to make sure you have some evidence that you sold that particular mobile phone to somebody. Okay, anything going wrong with this phone in the future may trouble you for the consequences that you may need to undergo. So friends, this was about the MAC address. Now, important point about the way the MAC addresses are assigned. So unlike IP address, okay, MAC addresses are written in hexadecimal notation. So hexadecimal notation. IP address, on the other hand, is mentioned using decimal notation, but MAC addresses are mentioned using hexadecimal notation. So it's a 6-field address separated by a colon, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So friends, this is something like this: 0 0 2A 3B 6A 2C 5D. So I have just picked up a random MAC address just for your understanding. So if you look at the MAC address, the first 3 fields are called OUI. So these 3 fields, the 6 characters in the MAC address, represent the OUI. This is organizationally unique identifier. So this is specific to the manufacturer. Looking at the first 3 fields of the MAC address, you can identify whether the manufacturer of that NIC card is Dell, or it is HP, or it is Realtek. So it could be any manufacturer. So the first 3 fields, also known as OUI, helps you identify the manufacturer of that particular NIC card or network adapter, and the last 3 fields are vendor specific. So this is in control with the manufacturer. So looking at the count of devices manufactured by that particular vendor, this number keeps on increasing. So as this is a hexadecimal number, it starts with 0 and ends with F. So it will go like this: 0 1 2 3 9, then 10 is represented using A, 11 is represented using B, and finally 15 is represented using F. So consider this is a hexadecimal number. So if you want to represent this number into binary, so binary equivalent of 5 is 0101, and D is nothing but this is 10, 11, C is 12, and D is 13. So if I calculate the binary equivalent of 13, so 8, 4, 2, 1, so 8 plus 2 plus 1, so it's going to be 1011. So this is going to be the binary equivalent of this particular field 5D. Okay, so that's how they keep incrementing. So if now finally what will happen, the highest number in the last field is going to be FF, right, as you can see here. So now if it reach to FF, then they'll increment this number by 1 again, and again start with 0 from the next field. So that's how the inventory of the manufactured devices is maintained by the manufacturer, and this particular OUI is given to the manufacturer by IEEE. Okay, so that was all about the MAC address, my friends. And if you want to see the MAC address on a Windows system, you can use a command ipconfig/all. This is for Windows computers. If you are using Linux computers, you can simply give ipaddr command on your Linux console. Okay, for Linux distributions older to CentOS 7 or CentOS Red Hat 7, you can also use command ifconfig, and you will be able to see the MAC address of that particular computer visible on the console. So friends, the same thing. So MAC address is also known as a physical address. Okay, so it is also known as a physical address. Some people also call this address as a hardware address. So if somebody says I want to know the hardware address, it is going to be the same thing, MAC address or physical address of that particular hardware. So friends, that's all for the MAC addressing. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comment section. So friends, I hope you have got enough idea about MAC addresses or MAC addressing, and subsequently you can use this information for your daily use. So thanks for watching, and thank you so much for joining the course.